Microphone check 212. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to It's the Bearded Man podcast with your favorite and the world's favorite bearded man, Bob Hobert. Today in the building, fellow content crib member, Steve Mopsikoff in the building. How we doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Bob? I know how you're doing because you've been here all day and I've been here all day.
I've been cooped up, dude.
Cooped up?
It's Friday, 6:28 p.m. It's time to cook up this content.
This is weekend for Bob now.
Dude, go from liquid IV mode to...
6:01. Friday is Bob's weekend.
Fire it off. Dude, I was just checking my new little surfboard rack. Works great.
Oh, you already put it up?
Well, it's portable so that you just strap it through the window and then you strap it on top of your actual car for like a car that doesn't have the racks. So I feel good because it actually was like $50 on Amazon, strapped it on, and I'm like, yo, I'm legit. I got a surfboard rack now.
You just don't have a surfboard.
I just don't have a surfboard. Literally. That's my biggest problem, which that's literally my number one goal tomorrow is two things. One, figure out where I can buy a board. And then
but
two.
Dick's not a thing.
Dick's doesn't have it. I was actually texting Dalton and I was telling him because he had just got a board and I was like, bro, I literally could not have picked a worse time to want to get into this because you have summer season, peak season for surfing out here. You have COVID. So people, two problems with that. COVID is causing people to pick up new hobbies, which is great, but this happens to be one they want to pick up.
Yeah.
And then third, I think now because of COVID, there's less shipments coming inbound to the U.S. and it's more of, is this essential or is it not, which is totally understandable. So literally, I think I called 20 surf shops on lunch today and not one of them had anything for what I was looking for, like a starter board.
Oh.
So.
And it also doesn't help that we're in Southern California either.
No.
Like I feel like we're in Washington.
But you would almost think because we're in Southern California that people would be stocked up already.
That's true.
Because it's such a demand.
I think you'd be surprised on how many people just don't surf here in Southern California.
Yeah.
Especially, I mean, where we were in Burbank, I'd say like 95% of the people don't surf. But this part of town, it's probably like 50% surf.
I was almost debating taking a drive tomorrow and just going to a shop in Burbank or there's some that's even a little bit farther out because I know there's probably people that wouldn't take that type of a drive just to get a board or something. So part of me is saying just do it.
Or even like more south of here.
I looked. It's everything along the coastline is just gone. They don't have anything. But I got word of a shop in Santa Monica that gets a stock tomorrow morning, so I'm gonna call and see if they can hook me up with a board.
Now, is there a certain size that you want?
Yeah, because I'm a newbie. I need
you need like the big ass board,
a long board for sure. When I did the lesson, it was an 8-footer, and the guy recommended start with a 7. So I didn't need the 8-footer. That was definitely.
But what's the like?
So it's. I mean, granted, I still don't know the true depths of everything, but essentially, when I'm getting a legit surfboard that for somebody who knows what they're doing, it's like made out of I don't know what type of material. This is a learning board where it's literally made out of foam. Like if you really wanted to, you could probably crack it across your leg. It's essentially just built for somebody to get up and on the board and carve a little bit of the water before you bail. But if you're trying to really get into it, you would get a different board. But I had tried the 8-footer and I was not mastering it, but I can already tell that I need to get the 7 because it's a little bit more challenging and it's also easier to carry versus, I mean, an 8-foot board on top of my car is going to be ridiculous.
Because I've seen people with small boards, like really small, like maybe 3 foot and 4 foot, like they're little.
Yeah.
What's the perk of that though? Is it just better riding? Or is it like your style?
I don't know, but my assumption would be you have more control over it. Think about the smaller the board, true. You can just.
I just remember on Rocket Power. You remember that show?
Of course, dude. That's literally based in Santa Monica.
Is it based on?
Yeah,
you're
the
right.
pier with the Ferris wheel and stuff.
I never thought about that.
Yeah.
But I just remember like they had like the big ass boards, and I was like, oh, I wonder. Like I thought, like the bigger the board, the bigger the wave you can ride. But I've seen dudes with like, literally. I mean, they're probably I know you can't see this, but it's like maybe 6 feet. I mean, maybe 5 feet. I don't know. Like they're really small. They almost look like skateboards almost.
That's what I was just gonna say. So think of it as I wasn't a skateboarder growing up, but longboards were built for cruising, and then smaller decks, not like the penny style boards, but like a true deck was built to be flipped and moved around. True. So I think, if for somebody our height, 6 feet, you probably would get the smallest would be maybe like a 5 foot, because then you're in full control of it.
Yeah, that's true.
You ever thought about trying it? I mean, you grew up out here.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't like the ocean.
You also grew up how far from the ocean? Hour and a half? Valencia?
Yeah, I mean, like right now it'd
or
be
not
an
Valencia,
hour.
Palmdale. Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, it'd be about to like the nearest beach. Like if we wanted to go to Venice, my aunt used to live in Venice. We would go down there, 3 days a week when I was little, because she used to have a house there.
Mm-hmm.
It would probably, I mean, I had no perception of time, but it felt like forever, but it was probably like an hour,
Yeah. What do you not like about the ocean, though?
Well, I don't know what's out there.
I know, it's kind of creepy, bro. I'm not going to lie.
Like, I don't mind being out there. I enjoy it. Also, we're fair-skinned, so it's like, I got to like...
We get torched.
We've got to throw on this... Well, you're not really fair-skinned anymore, I'd say.
I mean, well, dude, COVID is giving me some tan because
this is the most tan I've ever been.
Wow.
Like, ever.
Wow.
And my hair is like, definitely gotten blonder, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
But in general, I don't know what the fuck is out there. Am I allowed to cuss?
Yeah, you can say whatever. I forgot to tell you before this. This is
okay.
Let it rip.
Yeah, I don't know, like... That's like part of the reason why I don't like seafood or fish. It's like...
I know. It's kind of trippy.
I don't know what they're eating. First, like, they say they don't know, like, what temp... They don't know what's 90% of the ocean is like.
Yeah.
It's like just as unknown as outer space.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know if I can trust that.
I would be sketched to jump off a boat that's, 90 miles out. There's no chance I would do that. But
that's like my
for something
fear.
that's along the shore, I feel a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah.
But
did you see the thing about great whites?
Out here?
Yeah. They saw one in Huntington and it was making its way down to San Diego.
Oh, that's not good.
Like, great whites are like...
That's the real deal. How far off the coast?
I mean, it was like where surfers were.
Oh, see, that's scary.
I mean, not like right there, but they saw it like swimming.
Yeah, that sketches me out.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that I...
Which is crazy, though, because I don't know, like, what their mating season is or anything. I'm not, like, a zoologist.
I thought you were. I thought that was a part-time hobby.
No, my little brother would probably know.
Oh, yeah, Cameron would definitely know. 13, he'd be like,
yeah.
The shark is born
But I
here.
feel like that's abnormal for them to just be... Because I was in Encinitas and the water was freezing. It was probably 57 degrees.
Yeah.
That's not very warm for middle of the, for August. I
Yeah.
feel like it should be a lot warmer. The 64 is usually like probably a good temperature. But it was in its 50s for sure. Like my feet were numb. So I don't know if that's like, if sharks like the cold water. I feel like they like hotter water.
Yeah, I don't
I
know.
think that's why they're all in Australia, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's even trippier the last probably 5-8 years-ish. Even Cape Cod off the coast of Massachusetts, like that, they've been seeing a lot more sharks out there than I think I had ever seen growing up, which I don't know if that's a testament to climate change or that's a whole other rabbit hole.
Well, that's what Jaws is based off of, right? Is that area? It's Martha's Vineyard.
Is it based on Martha's Vineyard?
Right. I don't know if it's Martha's Vineyard, like specifically,
or Nantucket, maybe.
But it's
one
like
of the
that. It's definitely Massachusetts. It was definitely filmed in Massachusetts.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's a Bob Hobert classic.
Is it?
My father loves Jaws.
That's like, yeah, that's one of those movies that I just know it because
Yeah.
I grew up with it.
Yeah, I could see. I don't really remember it, but I could definitely see that being filmed, like Martha's Vineyard or something like that off the coast. It definitely has that vibe.
Yeah, you could tell it's not out here. The beaches out here are just way different.
Yeah,
you could tell that's East Coast, like even like North Carolina. It would be,
the house, the way the houses are built.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It's like it's so much different out there.
My mom always, she always has like she remembers like certain lines from movies, and one of the movies that she always like recites is from Jaws, and I'm trying to remember, but I can't. But yeah, I don't know how I don't know how that works, like with sharks. Like I'm not sure if they're...
I don't know.
That shit scares me though, because sharks are just like...
I don't care.
Because like snakes are one thing, because I could just like step on it if it's like little, but like you're not stepping on a shark.
Yeah, you're not seeing anything below you, so that's just like super trippy.
And they're sneaky.
I know, man.
Are you in the Shark Week? Do you watch that?
So I loved the Discovery Channel growing up. Is that Shark Week right now or coming up?
I think
it's usually in the summertime.
Yeah, I think it's like August.
Yeah, so I was a big Discovery Channel person growing up. I feel like there were so many great shows on there. But Shark Week I didn't really ever dive into. Actually, weirdly, last year when I was driving Uber, I drove a guy, one of his shows was on Shark Week, and he is a scuba diver, a world scuba diver, and he deals with sharks all the time.
Well, yeah.
And I was like, yo, you're literally a fucking savage, bro. He's like, yeah,
he's a cameraman or what?
I think he was more of an instructor or something, but he literally swims with sharks for a living.
That's good.
I was like, you're out of your mind, bro.
one of the guys, actually Dylan met this dude. I've flown with him before. He what he does like for his real job is he travels around the world, and he's a deep sea like diver / National Geographic filmer.
Unreal.
And he's been like literally every country he's been for months, and they just stay there and they film. But he's filmed for National Geographic, and he works for Discovery for Shark Week. It's huge.
Wow.
And there's like every year he's like assigned, because I remember I was asking him all these questions, like, how does that work? And I think last year he was in Philippines for like 3 months, and they were filming this one shark that only mates there like every couple of years, and it's rare.
Yeah.
And he was out there for 3 months just filming it underwater, and he was like, I mean, he's out of his mind.
Yeah.
Like he's crazy.
You
like,
have to be be doing that type of work.
He's crazy, but he was just telling me, I was like, there's no way I would. I mean, he was saying there's like certain sessions where they do like 3 hours at a time down there. Where I don't know how long the oxygen tanks go for, but he was like, it's 3 hour like increments.
Intervals. So you're down there for 3, come back up.
It's something like that. I don't know if it was 3, but it was a long time, and I was like, wow. And he was like, there's some days where we just don't see him. And because I was asking him like the David Attenborough, who does the like Planet Earth.
Unreal series, by the way.
Yeah.
I never like got into it, but it's unbelievable.
It's crazy. Like some of the footage that they get is just like, they must camp out there for months.
Easily. There's no way
there's a guy there just waiting all day long.
Yeah, that takes a certain type of person to be like, you just have to camp.
Yeah, I mean,
just wait.
Yeah,
you're waiting for the shot. I know, but but even then, you have to literally love not only cinematography, but you have to literally love animals that much.
You
have
have
to
love nature.
I'm on the hunt. Yeah. I'm looking for the cheetah.
Well, sometimes it's like a bird. It's like a little, like my stepdad and my little brother love birds. I'm just like, okay. Yeah. Like I don't really get bird. Like I get it. It's cool. There's like bird watching, but like if my duty was to just sit there and watch a bird, I would go nuts.
Yeah.
But like an alligator or something, I'd be on board, because it's gnarly. Like that thing could kill me. A bird is like.
If you could be any animal, what would you be?
Someone asked me this when I was in Montana. It was when I went whitewater rafting. The instructor asked me, and I said a beaver only because we were there and there was beavers. And that was my favorite animal growing up. I don't really have a real reason why I picked beavers other than they're fucking weird. Because they're like weird, like they're just weird animals.
They eat wood, right? Isn't that what
they don't eat it? They just chew it to use it for dams.
Hey, you did research.
But I would
use it.
I would be like an eagle or something, because I want to be able to fly and just get the fuck out.
100%.
I feel like most people would be a bird.
I think being a bird was dope. I came back from a run the other morning. There was like 5 crows in front, and as soon as I got within like 15 feet, they just dipped, and then they were just hanging on the wires above. And I was like, man, that must be nice. Like you could you're done, and you just move out.
I wouldn't want to be like a little like hummingbird or something. Like I would want to be like a raven, a crow.
Maybe you don't want to be like a snail. Just
that's a cool life.
Going with the flow.
Or like like a sloth. Or they say in England, a sloth. Go figure that one out. It's not a sloth, it's a sloth. Okay. And they say, instead of lever, we say lever, they say lever. It's like, okay. Anyways, that's a different subject.
Yeah.
But yeah, like a sloth, that would be...
Steve the Sloth.
Yeah. Isn't that from... Oh, no, that's what's the thing from Ice Age? Oh, that was like a squirrel or something, right?
Yeah. Sid?
Oh, that's a sloth, right?
I don't know.
No, it's not a sloth. He looks like a sloth.
I don't know.
But yeah, I feel like a sloth would be a good life. I mean, you don't do anything. Yeah. They're actually kind of mean. Have you ever seen videos of them?
Might have.
Their claws are like, I mean, they're sharp. Like they're not like they'll fuck you up. Like if you're screwing around, they'll like legitimately take your face off. But they're just so like lethargic. I don't know if they. See, this is like I don't know anything about animals.
Yeah.
I wish I knew. I'm reading the book about space, and I'm just sitting there like,
okay. See, now that's an interesting subject.
I've always loved space, but this book is like, first chapter, I was like, didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, it's funny you're saying that, because after today, actually I didn't run this morning, but I just went for like a big loop around our neighborhood, which, by the way, I don't know if you've ever done like a loop. Like it's deep. It takes me 30 minutes to do one lap, and that's not even touching the main street. But when I was making my way back, for whatever reason, I just kind of looked up, and I could still see the sun was rising from behind me.
No, the moon. It was the moon, because you wake up at 4:30 in the morning.
No. I know. Well, 5:30. Let's get it right. Okay. But the sun was rising behind me, and in front of me, I could still see the moon. But I was just like looking up there, and people driving by me. I just probably walked and looked up at it for 5-10 seconds at a time, and then look down and look up. But I was just like, man, that's crazy. Like, I was trying to visualize what it would look like if I was on the moon, but looking back at Earth, and how trippy that would be.
That would be crazy.
But I
also
also
if you're on
love
the sun too.
Yeah, I'd be burning up.
Especially you.
Oh yeah, you'd be freaking fried too. But I weirdly love knowing that we live in the same town as SpaceX.
Oh yeah.
Because SpaceX is going to be the company that I really do believe will commercialize space travel within our lifetimes. If nothing happens and another pandemic doesn't roll through, or there's not a nuclear war that kills all of us. But I really think SpaceX, if it's anyone, they're going to be the ones that lead the way.
I could see it happening.
Dude, Elon Musk is a savage. I saw, of course, it on Twitter. I think it's fact though, because I believe it was factual. 2008, he secured a $42 million loan to save him from bankrupting, and now his Tesla market cap is like $250 billion. So it's the 12-year swing of going from I'm about to be in bankruptcy for 42 mil to then now a market cap.
That was by the government though. The government gave him money.
For the loan?
Yes. They bailed him out essentially, which helped him, but I don't remember. I remember in 2008 he definitely did get bailed out because I mean they were gonna shit the bed.
I know, but it's just crazy to think about that swing though.
I know,
like you're like literally desperate. You need a $42 million loan to now you are the highly most valuable car.
He has 19 other things going on.
Yeah, it's literally insanity. But I just love knowing they're right down the road from us. And
yeah, it's nice.
There's some crazy shit happening there.
I don't know if, like, in that book I was reading, they were just talking about, like, how uninhabited Mars is. Obviously, this book is a little bit old, so it's not, like, it's probably, I think it's, like, 15 years old. So some of it's not outdated, I'd say, but there's some things that they're talking about on Mars that it's, like, it's not, like, if you were to live there, it's not, like, you know, it's not, like, living on the beach or anything. Like, it's not easy to live there. It's not, the temperatures fluctuate.
Yeah.
I mean, not like here where it's, you know, 65 in the day and it's 55 at night. It's like there it's extremes. It's like 115, 140 or something, and it drops down to like negative whatever. There's like extremes that we don't have, but I think over time, you know, like evolution, like if you believe
body
in
would get
it,
stronger.
would adapt to that. I don't know how long that would take.
Yeah.
But I just don't know how many people would like just, I mean, this would probably be a good time for people that are like, I just want to get the fuck out of here. This would probably be a good time for candidates.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, that's the savage thing, knowing that there's definitely people already applying to be aboard whatever that spaceship that they're planning to send out, which I think is within the next 3 years. Essentially a one-way ticket to Mars with
2024, I think, or
I don't know when it is, but I know there's a lot of people, and every single person will obviously be strategically picked based on their science background or whatever they can bring to the table. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy to think that could become a place where people live and travel. And yeah, I mean, it would be nothing like Earth. Obviously, it's not like you can just go outside and walk around with nothing on. But I think the idea of living on another planet would then just open up a can of worms of like, okay, if we're living on Mars now, which is, to even have this conversation the way we're talking about it right now is so crazy to me, because if I went back just 10 years ago and you said to me like, we're going to think about space travel in the next 10 years, I'd be like, you're out of your mind. Like that was never even, like when our parents were our age, that was never, well, maybe there was some type of conversation because you had, in the 60s, that's when they went to the moon, I believe, right? So maybe there was a spark of conversation, but not the way Elon's doing it and landing spaceships, and it's fucking gnarly.
I mean, the thing with SpaceX is that it's almost like he's made it like he's trying to make it easier, I guess. Yeah. By reusing rockets and like,
well, it's cheap. I mean, it's more efficient.
Cheaper. It's more efficient, I guess is the word.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I mean, I won't be going. I'm pretty positive.
Yeah, I'm all set with that.
I think it'd be cool though. Have you seen that movie Mars with Matt Damon?
Yes.
I think Neil deGrasse Tyson said that movie
was really accurate
to how Mars is and how it would be if we were living there. And he was saying like even like some of the spaceship and stuff, like how it would landed and stuff, like it was all pretty accurate.
Interesting.
So maybe going back to watch that to kind of see. So I don't know.
I think my favorite space movie is Interstellar.
I was gonna ask you what your favorite space
Interstellar.
movie. Yeah, by far, right?
With Matthew McConaughey. Highly suggest anybody listening, you got to go watch that.
That movie's so good.
Fucking ending is
I remember I was working and I told you to watch it and you kind of like took like a week and you were like, all right, I'm gonna watch it. Cause I told you like, this isn't like one of those you just sit down. And
I'm pretty sure you literally told me like, yo, you got to pop an edible and watch this shit.
Yeah. You got to
You'll
like,
be like on fucking spaceship.
Yeah. I'm
status.
not condoning that behavior, but if you choose to do that, I think it's a good idea.
I mean, it's legal in California, so it's totally acceptable to say to somebody, go buy some edibles because you can buy it over the counter.
That movie is great though.
Yeah.
I don't know how factual it is and all that. Obviously it's a lot of fiction.
The time travel thing messes with my head thinking about.
Like where you're staying still.
Relative to...
Yeah, that shit is... I mean, that's also not proven to be true.
Yeah, it's theoretical.
So it's like, is it true? But I guess if you do enough math and you know math, I guess it makes sense.
Yeah. What's your hot take on the pandemic?
Is that a note?
Yeah, 100%.
Well, if you guys don't know Bob...
I like to push buttons.
Well, no, not even that. He's like a punctual motherfucker, so... Everything is strategic.
Oh, no. I mean, I have topics. We can go anywhere. This is the whole thing.
No. I'm just
we can go anywhere, but I definitely have topics that I think are
What's my
relevant.
hot take, though?
Yeah. Overall, like, what's the last 4 or 5 months been for you?
Like the beginning of March. Well, I did ThriftCon was March 13th or something. March 17th, I think the NBA shut it down. ML or everybody else shut everything down. So it was like, you went from having like a great weekend, like one of the best weekends I've had probably in a long time.
That was in Miami, right?
I was in Miami. Yeah. And then, that whole week it rained in LA. The next week it rained. And then that whole other week I worked like crazy.
Southwest.
Yeah. And then, so like late March, not to get too personal. And then like my girlfriend's mom got sick, not with COVID, but like other things. And then, so that was like a huge thing where she couldn't work anymore because now she had to take, so that was a rough period. Obviously it was a little bit rougher for her, but also I was trying to balance work because I was also like, I got to get these hours in because shit might hit the fan here and we might not have a job. Obviously the airlines got bailed out, but I haven't really worked since April. I mean, actually the last time I really worked like consecutively was that week was March. I worked 2 times since then, 3 times.
Sheesh.
So it's like, that's by choice. But yeah, the beginning, it was fucking hard because I didn't know what to expect. I also thought like people weren't just going to buy shit online. I thought everyone was just going to be like, I'm saving money. But it actually turned out to be polar opposites. In April, May, June, and July have been the biggest months I've ever had ever.
Why is that?
It's 3 things. One, people got this $1,200 stimulus check, which helped. 2, I was here, so I was doing it every day. Like I was posting 15 things. I was on Instagram. Like I was getting things out. I was just moving shit. And then the other thing was everyone was at home and people were just on their phones. They were bored.
Yep.
And it's not like I have 1 million followers, but for the followers that I have, I mean, it did what it had to do, and it's done well.
And you figure too, people, whether they shop thrift through you, or if they also balance like shopping in store, they couldn't do the in store at all. So now they're just going 100% to online shopping.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you're there promoting and continuously updating with new gear,
and then they just got this,
they're going to come to you.
Check and whatever else. And then they're on unemployment, which people were getting $600 more than.
So they were ready to spend the money.
So yeah, so I'm saying, so it was kind of, I don't know. I think it was just everything combined. It was everyone at home. I think if people were at home and they weren't on unemployment and they weren't getting the stimulus, I think it would have been about half of what I got, or, of half of the sales or whatever. But I mean, it was just like, I mean, I was getting like 25 orders, 30 orders a day, which is like,
that's a lot.
Yeah. There were some days where I was like, I had literally, because also another thing is I started walking to the post office every day. It's about a mile. It's about the mile point. It's like 1.8 miles there and back. So I was walking every day, and there was a point like some days I couldn't walk because I couldn't carry all this shit. Like I would carry 2 bags and I couldn't fit them in 2 bags.
You need a Pee Wee Herman with his bike to pull up and throw everything in.
So yeah, like that was a good thing. I mean, it was twofold. It was like you had like my website doing well, and then you had like, is Southwest Airlines going to go under? my girlfriend's mom was like right on the fence there, like of not living.
Yeah.
So I had that, and then I had like this huge plus side of like my website, which was awesome. And then, it was cool, like having people here. Like if I was living alone, that would have probably been a bummer.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
So
especially I think me and Dylan talked about it on the podcast we did, which I also love the fact that you two are the two people I'm starting off with for the fucking doing the interviews, pods, or bringing on guests, which is great. But what was some of like the biggest challenges or shift you had to make with the business? Because, okay, you have orders going up. Mm-hmm. You're obviously here now more. You were here more time because you weren't flying around, but still you need to get inventory. And at that time you were somebody that relied heavily on warehouses and they weren't necessarily open. So what were some of the challenges you were facing just to make sure you had stuff?
I just went on Depop. I mean, I was literally an eBay Depop fiend. I was buying, I think I did the numbers the other day. I think I spent about $12,000 on Depop.
What is that? Is that like a resale site?
Yeah, it's like eBay, but it's like,
so you would buy and then just
I would just find a page that had like good prices. And by good prices, I don't mean like $150 t-shirts and shit. Like they had good stuff that I could flip, and they were willing to budge on their prices a little bit. Like if I bought 30 things, they would give me a 30% discount.
Did you have to hit them up, or they just...
I would hit them up like, hey, like I want all this stuff, and it helps them too because they're moving stuff.
Yeah.
But
do they know you were reselling or no?
I mean, my page is the like I don't have.
Oh, this was through at 5-star.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
So I mean, some of them would like end up following me and be like, hey, I could cut you this deal or whatever.
That's dope.
But it's not. I mean, I'm giving them money, so it's like, and I'm pretty sure their margins are better than mine because they go to thrift stores and stuff like that, and they buy stuff for $1, and so my margins were a little bit more money I was spending on during the pandemic, and my profit margins were probably less, but I was getting, I mean, I didn't have to go anywhere. I mean, you saw me. I was bringing in like 6 packages a day. Like, I mean, it was not, that's probably dramatic. It was probably about 10 a week I was bringing in, depending. And some of them were delayed, and I was depending on some of it. So, and also I was trying to help people too, because I mean, some of these guys like didn't have incomes or whatever. And like, I don't know if like their sales hit the shit the bed. Like if they were like, I could do $250 for all these items, I wouldn't even like
try to budge them down.
I'd just be like, here's $250. Like I'm not gonna sit here and argue with you because it's like that's a good price and whatever. I'm not gonna. And I've actually learned to just like, unless it's like egregious, then I just like usually just like pay it because it's just like you're trying to make your profit, I'm trying to make mine. We're somewhere in between. We could probably meet.
Yeah.
Also, another thing that I learned, which was nice, was I know everything about my business now. Literally everything. I know how much I ship stuff for. I know my average shipping rate from the last year. I did all the mathematics on that. I know like how I keep pretty good like accounting of how much I've spent and how many items I've acquired. I think I'm at like 2,600 this year of items that I've acquired.
And then sold, or just in total that you've purchased?
I've purchased
2,600 since the beginning of the year?
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I mean, we're halfway through the year now, so I mean, you're talking, you'll be, if you stay on pace to that, it's over 5,000 items coming through this freaking house, dude.
Yeah. So it's a lot. So, I mean, I have all that. I know like how much I'm buying stuff for. I know the average price. So I know when someone's lowballing me, like if they're like, I'll give you $10 for this. I was like, no, I didn't buy it for $10. I bought it for more than that.
So because you had more downtime, you were able to go deeper into the things you probably didn't necessarily have the time to go into, or didn't
think it was necessary. And now I realize how necessary it was. So it's like, I know I literally, and like the thing was, I think I was watching Shark Tank. I was watching Shark Tank a lot during like the first couple of weeks of the pandemic. I was just like, it's like kind of mindless. I could work out and like I could watch it and not like totally pay attention. But the thing that Mark Cuban and everyone always says is like, you have to know your business more than anybody. Like 100%. You can't come in here and like, I can't be pitching you my business. And let's say you've been doing business for 35 years and I know, and you know more about my business than me. It's like, there's people that would come in there and Mark would be like, this doesn't make any sense. Your margins don't make sense. You don't make any sense. How do I know more about your business? And then I was thinking like, there's no way that if I ever pitch this to somebody, they should know more than me. Yeah. I should know everything. And the people who went in there and they were like, we ship stuff for $2.25. We buy it for this. We wholesale it for this price. This is our margins. And if we want to grow, like all this stuff, which you've probably learned working with Liquid IV is
100%.
like what you were telling me about how much more that packaging costs because it's eco-friendly, it's used recycled plastic, whatever, it costs more. You know the margins of that. Obviously, Brandon knows the margins of that. He has to know the margins of that because if he doesn't,
it's his business.
It's that goes under.
Yeah.
If you don't know the margins, you don't know your profit margin. And like, I try not to worry about that stuff too much. Like, cause it's not always about profit for me. Obviously your business, the company you work for is, I mean, it's all about growth and profit at this point. Not profit, but growth. It's all about how much can we make and how quickly can we grow. Mine is more like, I want to profit, but I also want to grow this like as organically as possible. So it's not like this huge, you know, like what you're doing with podcasts and stuff. Like I'm not doing that. So profit isn't the most thing. Like I'm also another thing that I've focused on in the last 6 months is to get return customers, which is a huge part of my business. Actually,
you want them to be like your walking billboard almost.
A walking billboard, and also the money that you spent to acquire customers, you want to keep that.
Yeah.
Because if you only buy one time, if I went on liquidiv.com and I only bought it one time, I forgot about it, and I heard it on a podcast, well, that podcast costs you whatever, how much money, and I only did it one time. Yeah, it's cool. You got the $48 or whatever. But if I don't tell anybody, or if I don't ever use it again, then it's kind of a waste. So it's like that first time you have to fucking go over the top, impress them, or just let them just be super satisfied. And if they're not satisfied, the back end of customer service is give it to them for free, offer free return shipping, whatever it is, email them back, you know, within a day. Don't let them sit on it for 6 days. There's so many things. And I was looking last night, weirdly enough, I was just curious because Google Analytics can tell you everything. Are you familiar with Google Analytics?
I just got intro to it tonight, actually.
It is.
My ecom guy.
I've had Google Analytics for 7 years now. And I mean, I could track everything since 2014. Wow. So 6 years. Literally everything. And it's almost creepy. It's actually creepy. I could look up what iOS you're using. Are you on a mobile? Are you on a desktop? Are you on an iPad? Are you on an Android? What age are you? Where do you live? What city are you in? What country are you in? What language do you speak?
Wow.
I mean, it gets down to the nitty gritty. And I was looking at my ratio of return customer bought versus new customer bought. And my return customer is like double the money that they've spent. So the people that return are spending double versus the new customers aren't, which translates over because it's now the new customer becomes a returning customer. So obviously it's going to be more. Yeah. But you want your I think you want your returning customer to be more at some point. Obviously for Liquid IV, it's different because you're just trying to grow this, and everyone can drink stuff. Not everybody wants vintage clothes, so it's two different things. But
still, the concept of wanting a returning customer, I think, doesn't matter what business. It doesn't matter if
that's the back end.
Your KPIs are growth or money, revenue. Like, it doesn't matter. You still want returning customers because it's the cheapest way to
exactly.
Keep
I wonder what
growing.
The returning customer is for Liquid IV. I wonder. If you dig deep on Google Analytics, it'll tell you. I mean, it literally tells you. It's kind of scary. Yeah. But like people think that like, oh, they're not tracking you. Yeah. No, they are.
Our Shopify shows me numbers, and obviously it's something that I can't speak on for many of reasons. But I definitely see certain numbers, and I can see returning customers, and because of the podcast position, it kind of allowed me to see a lot more things behind the scenes of our website, and it's been super interesting just to see it at like a high level of like, how do you grow to a business of this magnitude? And I don't know. It's been super interesting. But that's great that it's allowed you to actually dive into that. And it's weird because like I think when you are so passionate or so like believing in the product or service that you're offering, that you might not have ever thought about looking into it, but then when you realize the amount of knowledge that brings to you and how positive and how powerful that is, that you weirdly get obsessed with it because you want to see certain numbers rise, you want to see certain numbers drop, you want to understand why is this where it's at, why do I have so many customers coming from this state. So I think it just allows you to get even more sharper with your business and your process, and then it gives you more runway for kind of game planning of like what should be the next step.
I agree. The thing also to tailor back to ThriftCon was Miami. The whole reason for me going out there was obviously to make money, but I made way less than I could, or than most people there probably, because my expenses are so high of shipping stuff. But my demographic, like the four main states are California, Texas, Florida, and New York. And Massachusetts is probably somewhere like 5th or 6th, or Illinois too. So it's like Miami was like, I think 2 or 3, or not Miami, but Florida in general. And Miami specifically is more, and Orlando I think is second, because you could track all that. Yeah, I could literally see how many people are visiting from Miami area. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But that's a huge demographic for me. It's always been, I've always tailored to people in Florida for whatever reason that is. And so that was like the main plan, was to go there and like grow it more. Cause obviously there's something hitting with me selling online there. So it'll hit more. And I've also seen a big growth, not a big growth, I should say. I've seen a steady growth in Florida in general, just in the last couple months. And New York, New Jersey right now is like every other order is New York or New Jersey for me. I don't know why.
Interesting.
It's so weird. Like I had like 4 yesterday from New Jersey, and it's not like, like I don't know the cities in New Jersey,
like right outside of New York,
but they're not like, it's not like neighboring cities. It's like one's here and then one's over here. One's, in Newark, and then the other one's, farther down.
It's interesting.
So yeah, that's all interesting. And then, yeah. Just like the returning customer thing is like a huge thing for any business. I feel like there's this thing, I don't know if you've heard of it. Tim Ferriss has talked about it. It's a guy, I think his name's Kevin Kristen or something, Kevin Christie. I forget his name. He has this, it's a blog, it's a blog post. It's called 1,000 Fans, I think.
1,000 True Fans.
1,000 True Fans.
Yeah, I heard of it.
Have you read it?
Yeah, I read it probably a year and a half ago, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
One of the guys at Yes Theory, his name is Amar. I think I was having a discussion with him one night, and he had sent me the link, and it changed my perspective on kind of just high level of just how important it is just to find those 1,000 true friends. Or friends. Yeah. They're friends. They're friends.
I mean, that's what
anyone that listens that is a shopper 5-star, you're a friend. But yeah, 1,000 true fans is all you need to build like an actual successful, sustainable business.
Yeah. And another thing too is like, I also read the Patagonia book, which is like the guy who started it. And it's not like, it's about how it started and like how this has changed into something totally different. And it's actually to preserve the planet by doing good and like giving back. And like that kind of changed my perspective of profitability. Cause it's like, yeah, I mean, it's cool. Like if you're profiting 400% or whatever percentage, most business or like some businesses like gas or something, like they make so much money. It's absurd. But they don't give any of it back. And it's like, there's literally no point to just be running a business if you're just like not giving back to anybody. Obviously you're giving people a job, but there's like, especially like gas, like you're literally taking shit out of the earth.
Yeah.
It's like, that shit like blows my mind. But the thing that I've learned is like, you don't have to make $1 million. Like what? That's only this thing that like we've thought about in America where it's like, you have to just keep growing the business. Like you don't.
Yeah.
You don't have to do that. Like literally Patagonia, they grow on like a scale of like 1% a year or something, which is like, that's literally nothing. Like, you know what I mean? But it's got to a point where they've almost like just flatlined in a good way where they could keep it sustainable, keep their prices where they need to. And they have return customers. That's literally their whole business is return customers.
Yeah.
It's people who hike, people who, whatever they do,
outdoors,
they rock climb, anything outdoors, they know I'm going to keep coming back. And Patagonia has made it so good to return stuff. Like if you tore your jacket, you could send it in and they'll repair it for you. Or you could try to do it yourself. Like there's so many different things that they've done a good job. And they also donate 1% of their sales or profit. I forget which one it is. It's either to
probably sales, because it's probably then
more.
It's more, but then also I think you could probably get away with not being taxed on it.
That's true. It probably is. And it's just like put it in perspective of like, you don't have to make $1 billion. It doesn't need to be like if 5-star made, like I think right now, I don't know if I want to talk about like numbers.
You definitely do not have to share numbers.
I mean like if
just make it flatline.
If the 6 months were to go how it's been going, I think I would do like 75,000.
Damn.
And that's like including flea markets. That's like not just like online. So it's like that's also not in profit.
Yeah.
So it's
before
like
expenses and all that.
Yeah, and all that. So it's like profit is probably like 9, 10, 15,000 if that. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like, if I did that for, maybe double that in like 3 years, that's fine with me. And like hire a couple people, like that's totally totally fine. And it's also like I don't put any pressure on myself. I used to put a lot of pressure on myself, like trying to grow it and I just don't care anymore. I'm like, if it grows, it grows. I'm just gonna do what I have to do. I'm gonna put my pieces in the right place. Like there's certain things, like I don't do regular advertising. I don't advertise on like Twitter. Yeah. I do certain avenues of advertising which cost me way less. It's not like I'm promoting on Twitter. It's just like I've been doing strategic things like giving things to models or whatever it is to help grow it. But that's all like that's money. That's not like, you know, how much money the company that you work for is spending. Yeah. Millions of dollars on advertising, and it's like, not that that's bad, but I just don't have that budget, so I have to figure out different ways. Yeah. And that's fine if it doesn't grow, but as long as it stays where it is or a little bit, you know, every year, then I'm fine with that. But I'm not going to pressure myself into. But
I also think that is due to who you are and your personality, and it's like you are very much more an easy flowing, like, and it's also something that's been clearly passionate for you, and not something that you're just solely relying on, where it's, if I don't make money through that, like, you know, Southwest has obviously been the side thing. 5 Star has been clearly something that has been working for you. But I also think that just is a testament to you of just like it's like you love it, but you're also not totally attached to where it goes, which I think is almost the best mindset to have, because then no matter what happens, you're totally just going with it. Yeah. And it's not like this didn't work, or you're not, I don't know. There's this balance, I think, too. It's like, you know, sometimes you hear people say, don't turn your passion into your living, or like keep it separate.
I think it should be both.
I agree. If I can make a living right now doing this, like having a podcast today, conversation with people, I would say yes all day. Yeah, because that's just something that I deep down.
Yeah, people who are making bread, like Joe Rogan's, like killing. He works out. He has a family. He lives off his own land.
Granted, he provides incredibly great content.
Yeah. So I'm not saying it's lazy.
He put in his time for it.
Yeah, but it's like, I mean, that's like literally the perfect job. Like Howard Stern's been doing this for 40 years, just talking on the radio.
I'm on my way. I'm the young Larry King. I'm coming back in the game strong. I went silent for 9 months, but I'm fucking back.
It's been 9 months.
Get it. Well, 9 months since I started bringing on guests. Dylan was the first guest in like 9 months. I was doing some of the solo pods in January.
Well, yeah, that's what I meant. Like 9
back
guests.
Back at the house. It was like trying to
figure out. Who was
the
last guest?
Before Dylan, it was Joseph Sheehy.
What does he do?
He is the CEO and founder of Cured Nutrition, CBD company out of Boulder, Colorado.
Oh, cool.
I think Boulder, maybe Denver. I think Denver. But yeah, Dylan was the first person in 9 months. Now you're the second. So nice. we're trying to get the ball rolling again. Trying to fucking full swing.
I was gonna add something to what you were saying. I can't remember.
Well, just going with the flow. Joe Rogan, Howard Stern.
I also wouldn't say that, like, if shit started hitting the fan and like I didn't do as much, I would, you know, obviously I would lose sleep over it. But I think that me putting pressure on myself to make this like a $100,000 or whatever the number was that was in my head, 50,000, I think is like, I just don't care anymore. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna do what I have to do, and the numbers will. It's almost like a basketball player where you're like, I don't think James Harden goes out there and goes, I'm gonna score 65 tonight. He's just like, I'm just gonna score what I have to do. Yeah. And if the other team sucks tonight, then I don't need to score 65. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's almost like I need to feel the market. Like if the shit hits the fan and no one has money anymore, it's like, I'm going to put pressure on myself to make this much money when no one's buying anything. Yeah. You know what I mean? Almost like how 2008 was or whatever it was. So it's like, I'm not going to do that anymore. Also, another thing I remember now is the passion, like how you were saying, like,
don't turn your passion into like a career, blah, blah, blah.
I've thought about like people that retire, and like my parents are both, my mom works now, but she's retired two different jobs, and now she's working again. I think that like this whole idea, and like Rich Dad Poor Dad has talked about this, where it's like you retire at like 60, and it's like, I feel like that's not like smart to do that. Like to just be like, I'm retired. It's like, I don't have the personality to just go to a beach for years and just like live there and just like suntan all day. Like I have to do something. I have to be somewhat productive. I don't understand this. Like, I'm just going to golf, watch TV, hang out with my wife. I'm going to live on a golf range. I would go absolutely batshit crazy. So I think it's like, I don't know if it's our generation or if that's just how the old, like our parents used to think, but I don't think like that. I don't ever think I'm ever going to be 65 and just like,
Mail it
I'm just
in.
going to go golfing every day. Like, I just don't ever see that. And like the thought of that, I wouldn't even want to do that now.
Yeah.
And I can move better than I am at 65.
Yeah.
You know? So I think that ideology is like kind of ass backwards. And I've seen my dad, which my dad is a mechanic. He's been retired for 10 years now, and he's 62, and he has like my dad has not, like, mentally, he's not withered away. My dad's very smart. Like, maybe he'll put on a little bit of weight, but it's like mentally like my dad is sharp, and it's because he's busy.
100%.
He since he's been retired, my dad doesn't go on vacation.
Yeah.
My dad literally loves the garage. That's his passion. I always think about that. When I'm 60, am I going to have something to do that not only makes me money, because my dad can make money off of it, but also keep me busy? And that's what I learned during this pandemic is like this clothes shit kept me busy. And I don't mean busy to be like the distraction. I mean busy that is like I enjoy it. Because there's two different kind of busies. There's like I'm busy, and that busy can entail I got to go to the grocery store, I got to do laundry, I got to walk the dogs, I got to, mow the lawn. That's busy to me. But like this is also busy right now, but this is fun. This is something, it's, you know what I mean? Like going to the grocery store, I don't give a shit. I don't want to care about the lawn. There's two different kinds of busies, and I think that like our generation, I don't know if our generation, but I think people are more enlightened to like finding a passion that they could use forever.
100%.
If you could talk on a microphone, if Joe Rogan could talk on the microphone the rest of his life, podcast wise, he's going to do it. He's going to do comedy one way or another, but like they can do comedy when they're 95.
Yeah.
So that's a passion that's always going to fulfill yourself. I think that's what like everyone should be. Not everyone. I feel like some people are just going to mail it in when they're 65, and that's fine. Or 50.
I think but I think what you're about to say, I think everyone should be looking for that thing.
I think everyone I don't know, I don't want to say everyone, because everyone is different and they like different things, but I think you should find something that overwhelms you, and you could find this huge learning process. Like not only I love clothes, but it's a business too. So it's like I'm kind of learning both. I'm kind of learning clothes. Like I literally just learned something 40 minutes ago about clothes I didn't know. And last night, this guy put me on game about all these other clothes I didn't know about. So it's like, I'm always learning that, and it's not very, very important to the world, but it's cool to me.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you can do that when you're 60, 70, 80, or whatever it is, you know what I mean? I feel like that's very fulfilling. And like for Dylan, like he's making music, and like he's going to do that until he dies. Like there's nothing, unless he loses his vocal cords. Like
he'll still find a way to stay involved.
He'll still find a way. Like he'll work for Spotify or something. He won't talk because he can't, but you know what I mean? So it's like, I feel like we got to find, not we, but in general, I think people need to find that passion. And like, I remember like 2 years ago, I was like, maybe I just need to sell 5-star and just do something else. Like I was thinking that, but I love clothes. So I'm like, I don't know what I want to do.
So do you think that was the moment when you started to shift and like stop thinking of it in the sense of like it needs to grow and just trust it and just go with the flow? Because you've been doing this for 7 years. 7 years? Just 8? Oh, just 8 years back in
July 1st.
Yeah, damn.
So I mean, 2012. And it's been more than that, because I did it, prior. July 1st was just the day that I put my website out. So I mean, I was doing it, 6 months prior to that, or even 8 months. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like, I don't know if vintage clothes is like always going to be a passion, but I love it. I mean, it's fun.
Yeah.
I mean, the two favorite things that I love about it that I've thought about recently is like, I love finding stuff. And like, it's actually kind of weird. Like even finding stuff on Depop, I had an enjoyment, because it was almost like a hunt.
Yeah.
Like I would search,
it's a different style hunt.
I would search like, Chris Rock shirt or whatever, and I would try to find the guy who had it, and no one had it. It was almost like its own search in its own way. So that was fun. I don't want to do that for the rest of my life, but and then the other side is like researching the stuff, like the shit that I just learned right before we did this. I was like, I had no idea this shirt was worth that, or I didn't know this shirt was that.
Yeah.
And it's also like, if you change your view of clothes a little bit, where it's like, I just wear this because I just don't want to be naked. Some shirts,
you don't want to just let it fly?
I don't.
I mean, last podcast I did no t-shirts. So I was thinking about doing it again tonight, but yeah, with Dylan, we were in the studio, I just ripped it off. I was literally wearing just shorts, dude. No socks, no kicks, just literally
perfect.
t-shirt. I didn't even get
I mean, we don't have suits.
We're literally just been chilling here, so I was like, it's all good.
Yeah, you're not gonna put on a suit.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I've never been put on
Bro,
a suit.
I've put on a suit twice in the last 2 years, and it's for 2 weddings. That's it. The only time you get me in a suit is a wedding.
I don't even have a suit, so I don't know.
Yeah, you can borrow mine. It's all good. But I totally am like right there line with you. And what I also think is, that you had just said something about like, I don't know if selling or if vintage clothes is always going to be the thing I'm passionate about. I've weirdly just accepted that like new things are going to come and go as interests in our lives. And instead of getting worked up of trying to having that plan all figured out, to just roll with it. Like 2 examples. One, doing Purpose in the Youth podcast. That was me testing, learning, trying. And then it became a new chapter. Now it's this podcast, and that will be its own thing. And now I'm on to the next thing. I'm still in that space of like creating and talking and interviewing and podcasting. So it's like when you detach yourself from like believing like there's this one destination has to be, like it might not be that thing, but it can be something that's parallel to it, that's just as equally as powerful. So just like, I don't know, I so much more now, especially now being 26, like I just look at all these moments and things in the last couple of years of my life as like chapters. Like Uber was a fucking chapter. 3.5 years of grinding, hustling, forever happy that that's gone. But I also know that there was a lot of value in it, a lot of growth and blah, blah, blah. And so instead of getting worked up trying to figure out like where am I going, enjoying these passions, trying to learn how to surf, trying to get back into content, golfing, like, I don't know. To me, it's like you have to, all this to say, you have to stay busy. You have to find things that fulfill you. And I spent a lot of quarantine trying to figure that out. Dude, bought an Xbox One, hadn't ripped games in years. Then I had my parents send on my golf clubs. Then it was weird. There were moments that when I would be done working during the week with work at 6, and I'm sure there's people out here that were running into this because they weren't able to go to the restaurants, they weren't able to hang out with friends, they weren't able to stay busy or keep their mind busy. It goes from like, you're excited the day's done because you're like, I want some me time, and then it flips and you go, what do I do?
Yeah.
And so it's like, then I'm like, all right, I'm getting back into gaming, and like I do that for like 2 weeks. I'm like, this is not fulfilling. Like I enjoy this, but like I feel like a piece of shit after playing for 5 days in a row, like for 2 hours a day, because it's not, and there's nothing wrong with gaming. I support it. I support people that stream it. Like I love it. But I was recognized like, wait, this isn't a passion. This is like something that's good to like occupy my mind for a little bit of time. So then I had the parents send out golf clubs. That was occupying my mind. Then when I started blogging again and started just like sharing, then I was like, oh, this is the fulfillment aspect. This is the thing I've been missing. But yeah, I think I think we have to stay busy. Like, as I've talked to you guys before about, my father just retired. It's like, he's like, I'm taking the summer off, just shooting the shit. But like at the same time, I'm like, you got to stay busy. And I think our generation is for sure going to be that, where maybe you retire from that corporate style job at 65, but then it becomes like another chapter of like, dude, you still got another 25, 30 years in you. That's a whole nother lifetime to like live and try to figure some shit out.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know what, I mean, I think that's the biggest problem is trying to find the what are you going to do? Or, but yeah, no, I agree with like trying shit. I've luckily been able to been fulfilled with, selling clothes. 'Cause it's like money. And also it's like, it's like content in its own way, because I get to show everyone like the pieces that I found, so it's kind of fulfillment on both ends, which is nice. But yeah, I don't know, like I always think about my dad. Like I'm always thinking like, however he did it is like how I would want to do it. Like just have that passion and just do it. Like my dad's not bored. My dad, I've never seen my dad. I have never heard the words come out of my dad's mouth, I'm bored. If my dad ever said that, I would literally have to check him into a hospital. I'm serious. Like if my dad ever said, you're bored, like if I said I'm bored, he's like, what are you talking about? Yeah. Go look outside. Yeah. Go look at the trees. Go find something in the tree. It's like, I hate when people say that, like the bored thing. 'Cause it's like, I've been bored, but it's also like, bored is also a synonym for like, I just don't want to like do anything productive. It's almost like, there's things you could do, it's, like yesterday I was like, do I want to read the book or do I want to just like go on the internet? And I was like, oh, I'm just going to go on the internet. It doesn't necessarily mean I'm bored, but it was like I could have fulfilled my time a little bit better with the book probably.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that book reading is better than internet or internet's better than a book, but also I feel better if I'm reading, I feel like.
Well, do you think boredom is a product of indecision and not being able to decide what to do?
Indecision and...
Because I think anytime, even recently, when I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, I'm bored, it's me not being able to make a decision on like what I should be doing with my time right now.
Yeah, that's true. I never thought of it like that. Yeah, I guess that would be true. Yeah, I never thought of it like that. But boredom is also like, I mean, I guess some people during quarantine were bored though. Like, yeah, legitimately, like, I don't know what else to fucking do. I'm gonna go crazy if I have to talk to my sister again. You know what I mean, or whatever.
Yeah. This is what is. I'm happy that I'm finally getting into like this rhythm I'm getting into now, because what I'm scared to know is that whenever we come out of this, there's going to be a lot of people that look back and regret the amount of time that they had to themselves. Like, this is the best fucking opportunity. Like, I know people, it's like, it sounds like so guru-y or like personal development when I say this, but like, this is the time you look inward and like you have conversations with yourself and you be in your own thoughts and you shut the door, you turn the music off, you put the phone down, you reflect, you think about like, am I happy working for this company? Am I happy that I'm hanging out with this person all the time? Mm-hmm. Am I happy with this relationship? Like, am I happy with the direction of where my life is headed? This is the time you ask these questions. And unfortunately, I think there's going to be a lot of people that come out of this that were bored or just kept dodging it and are still on this path of just not really knowing where they're going. And there's obviously a lot of factors that play into that people are dealt different hands of cards, and maybe they're put into a position where they can't necessarily stop and think about it. But I would bet there's a large majority of people that are sitting on their asses, just continuously watching Netflix every night, and this will end and life will begin again and people start going out again. And at some point you hit that wall and you go, what am I doing? Like, I hate my job. I hate where I live. I hate the girl I'm dating, the guy that I'm dating. When it's like, you could have spent that time asking yourself those questions. Yeah. And
I think a lot of people did do that. I think, I would say the majority have done that. I mean, I talked to a guy at a flea market, and this was like June 20th or whatever. It was like the first or second week that the flea markets were open. And I asked him something. And I was like, oh, like, do you live around here? He was like, kinda. And I was like, what do you mean, kinda? He was like, oh, me and my girlfriend were just quarantine, just like ruined this. Sheesh. And I think that's a good, not saying like them breaking up is like a good thing, but I think it's definitely put a burden on teetering relationships. And I think like, even with my girlfriend, I think like it wasn't fun. Like there was some like really fucking rough days there where I was like, this shit is like, not like within us, it was just like mundane. It was like, we couldn't fucking do anything. She had all this pressure, but I think we've grown from that. And I think the quarantine, I don't feel like we're in quarantine anymore, by the way. I fucking hate when people are like, yeah, I'm quarantined. It's like, I've been quarantined. I don't even know what that word means. It's like, go outside. It's not quarantine. Yeah, quarantine is like, you're stuck here. I can't fucking leave. That's not
the first
anymore.
Like 6 to 8 weeks was
I would say
quarantine.
I would agree with that. Yeah. But now I hear that.
You have to leave for essentials. People in LA were getting pulled over and ticketed for being out and about. Now that's not a thing anymore.
Yeah, it's not. So it's like,
wear your mask.
Yeah. I think the first thing of that was very mundane and it was hard. But I think like, if you had a teetering relationship that was like bad, I feel like that got brought out. And also like, I mean, there's people getting divorced. I mean, I remember reading like famous people, like there was like, I don't know who it was, but there was like 3 back to back. They were like, yeah, fuck this, I'm out. So I think it's, because you never, especially like an actress or an actor or whatever it is you don't really, you see each other, twice, 3, like you're spending 5-6 hours at a time with each other versus like now you're like, I'm stuck with you.
Yeah, you'd be on set and then you come back for a couple hours and then back.
You have dinner and you see them, but maybe they're traveling to Paris for a show. Like none of that's happening.
Yeah.
So you're just stuck, which I think it's actually, like the first like couple weeks of this, I felt good. I hated it, but I hated it because I think I would have enjoyed quarantine a lot more if like my girlfriend's mom wasn't going through that. I feel like there was like a whole different thing that I was dealing with. Like it felt good, like quarantine, like people just not doing anything. It just felt good. Like I felt Like there was no pressure on me to go out.
Oh yeah.
That felt really good.
Definitely.
And I don't really go out that much, but but in general, I felt like people were just like, I'm just going to lay low. Like I feel like people don't do that enough, and they're always like, especially out here in California. I mean, it's all year long.
Yeah.
I could go outside 352 days a year.
I know.
And it's like,
but there's always, especially being in LA, there's
always stuff
shit
to do.
At the Engle, or at the Forum, or Staples Center, or
year round, or something
events going on.
Post Malone was talking about that on Joe Rogan. He's like, I couldn't do it out here. He's like, literally, you'll wake up at 8 a.m. and someone will hit you up for a party, and you're like, fuck, I'll go to the party. And then someone hits you up like, yeah, you want to go to the VMAs party? He's like, sure, I'll go. And it's like, I have no time to do anything for myself.
Well, that's because when you're in that bracket of people, you have to get really good at saying no. But when you're also his age, and like, I would say yes to everything. Yeah, like, makes sense why he moved to Utah.
Yeah. Utah's looking good. I like Utah.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to Utah?
I think we drove through. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We drove through it when we came out here, but never spent too much time.
It's a night. Utah's underrated.
Yeah.
I would like. I think Rogan said this. I've listened to so much Rogan, by the way.
We got to give a quick shout out to Steve, because anytime Rogan gives a Liquid IV shout out, he's my go-to.
Yeah, I know.
Person.
I'm like,
it makes me look real good to my bosses when I'm like, yo, Rogan, like literally day of drop, and I'm like, hey, Rogan talked about us earlier today. They're like, how did you figure this shit out?
I'm fucking on it. Me and Dylan are. I honestly don't know anybody who cranks out more podcasts than me and Dylan.
I would say when I was in my Uber Prime, I was cranking out more than you guys because of driving. But now I can't listen while I'm working. Just like there's certain times again. But anyway, go ahead.
But yeah, no, I think he said like Utah. I think everyone's scared of Utah because of the Mormons. Like they don't know what Mormonism is, or like they just don't know. But like you don't hear shit about Utah.
Yeah.
Like you don't hear. I don't even think was there protests in Utah. Like you know what I mean? Like you don't even hear about it. If there was, you didn't hear about it.
Yeah.
So it's like it's very like you don't ever hear like shootings. You don't ever hear like nothing. It's almost like weird. You're almost like why have I not heard anything about Utah? It's very low key. Colorado's a bit like that too, where it's just like. I think with Colorado, people just don't want to fucking say anything else because Denver's already blown up and they don't want anybody else to move there.
Yeah, they want to keep on the low.
I think Salt Lake is like that too, or Denver or Utah in general is very just low key. I feel like I would definitely like live in Utah. I think, or like live there like 6 months out of the year. It's a beautiful city, and it's a pretty big city. It's not, people think of Utah and I think they think like Kansas City. It's not Kansas City. It's a pretty big area, especially like winter months when the snow's there. Like it is a really busy city.
Yeah.
I remember actually right before the pandemic, this was February, I was in Salt Lake and I remember this now. This was the week that they were canceling everything. Like NBA was done. They shut down Snowbird, which is one of the things up there. Like one of the big, I think it's called Snowbird. It's one of the big ski resorts. They shut it down. I was in Salt Lake. And there was like 40, 60, 80 pairs of skis on our flight. And I was like, why are all the skis there? Everybody on our flight was like, we're going home because they shut down all the ski.
Oh.
And I was like, I didn't know like this was that big of a deal. And this is like right on the end of, ski season too. But I was just like, every cart had like 80 sets of skis. Those things are huge too, like they're not 5 inches,
Yeah.
So it's like, I just remember that, and I just remember, like, I think Utah's, you have Park City,
Utah,
which is just, like, underrated.
Yep.
Like, a lot of famous people live there because they don't want anybody that's probably where Post Malone lives, honestly.
Yeah.
He probably lives in Park City.
He does.
Does he?
Yeah, because I know he does for a fact, or at least around there, because that Mike Stud, the artist, he's been out there a lot recently. And I've been listening to some of his podcasts, which we got partnering up with Liquid IV starting.
What's his podcast
in like 2
called?
weeks, called You Never Know podcast. You know what I mean?
You never know. You know what I mean?
You never know. It's like part of his branding. It's like you never know. You never know. And YNK. It's like part of Stud's brand.
Gotcha.
I don't want to call him Stud because he's not Stud anymore. It's just Mike. He's known as Mike. But
got it. Some of the ego on these guys is like absurd.
No, but I get it from a branding. Think about it. Stud.
I know, but it's like Mike.
But what he can't.
What about Michael Jordan? You ever heard of him?
I know, but it makes this. I get the Stud trans. Like think about.
Wait, he doesn't want Stud?
No,
I feel like that's
gone.
Fire.
He dropped it.
But Stud is way better.
Yeah, but I think it was like kind of tooly.
Is that his name though?
No, it's Mike. His last name is Shonder, I think.
Oh,
actually, surprised he didn't just go with Mike Shonder. I feel like it's a fire name.
Yeah, that is.
That's a fire name, right?
I feel like Stud is like. I feel like that's not too douchey.
Nah, I think it will.
Really?
I
you think it's like too college-y?
Mike Stud. Like
he's a stud.
Yeah,
I
100%.
guess. Yeah, that makes
100%.
sense.
And I think the other problem is
he an athlete?
if you Google, he was back. He went to Duke.
Yeah.
But also, if you Googled Mike Stud, you were getting his come up career from college days for the next 5 years after that were like partying, booze, like just very college branded.
Page,
so I think it's just from a whole branding perspective.
So he just goes by Mike.
Just Mike.
Uh-huh.
No.
Just Mike.
Yeah.
I don't know a lot about Mike Stud. You have any more questions?
Yeah. I mean, we've honestly, this is what I love about this podcast. Is
I love this way better than Purpose in the End.
Yeah, I get it. That was more storytelling, but
way more free. You're also like a lot more natural, which is
yeah, because this is the thing. There's no intention for these podcasts other than let's just have a conversation. Where before it's like I want to touch on your childhood. I want to touch on high school years and dude. I don't even think it's actually, I wish I had a psychologist like running my brain reads during those podcasts. It's absolutely psychotic the amount of processing I was doing in my mind while trying to listen, have a conversation. Cause I'm like, wait, I want to talk about this. And I'm like thinking through, like, do I jump into
it? Were you really listening?
I mean, that's the thing. It was like a fucking high, dude. I was always listening, but I was always trying to think about the next question, the next topic. Like there's literally like, we're like just barely touching like that's the thing. There's no intention. I just provide talking points. So it's like,
in case.
Yeah. Like just to have some direction.
I also don't want to say that I wasn't shitting on Purpose in the Youth.
No.
I just was saying that
you're a free flower.
This is my natural habitat.
Another area that I wanted to at least acknowledge or just get your perspective on is just like Southwest. Like I feel like as an airline, they've done a fantastic job with dealing with a pandemic. As somebody that was a flight attendant and it still is, but like stepped away for 2 months because they offered all these opportunities, paid leave or whatever. Yeah. But just overall, just want to get your insight on just being a flight attendant for Southwest, because for instance, when I flew back to Massachusetts, I flew American, which I also love as an airline, but literally both flights were sold out full. And then on the flight back, Southwest said nobody in the middle seat, and it was incredible. Yeah. And they actually the actual flight attendants are so much, even the pilots are so much more like it's my level, my energy. Like
they're very you would.
If I was going to be a flight attendant, it would have to be Southwest.
If you were to work for a different company, I would say you have to work at corporate Southwest. They would fucking eat you alive. They call it the Kool-Aid.
The Kool-Aid.
Have you been drinking the Kool-Aid? You know what that's from?
No.
It's from the Waco, that you've heard of that show Waco.
Yeah, I just watched it. A couple months ago.
It's about they were all drinking. Wait, is it Waco?
No, I can't.
It's one of those like off the rails like religious people that they were giving them Kool-Aid that was spiked with something and they all died. I think it was Waco.
But Waco's when they were all burned to death.
Oh, okay. Maybe it wasn't Waco. Okay, well, backtrack. That's where it comes from. Is they drank the Kool-Aid.
Gotcha.
You drank it was like poison, but they didn't know it. They just thought I'm gonna listen to this guy. I'm gonna drink it. So that's what you're doing at Southwest. Like they say, oh, you drank the Kool-Aid. I don't think they say that corporately, but that's like behind the scenes.
Gotcha.
Like, it's like you're smiling.
They're not promoting. Oh,
you're like
Kool-Aid,
smiling, like
the high energy. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not that, but
I also think you have to be a certain type of person to work for them because you know the expectations, and if you get through the interview process, they're gonna.
I agree.
Clearly believe.
I think there's some bad seeds. Obviously, they get through there, but I feel like most of the people that work for Southwest, like 99%, I'd say, are just like good people.
Yeah.
Obviously, some of them have mental health issues, and they've been just doing this too long, or they're divorced, or whatever it is. You run into all that, which is not like what they hired initially, just what they turned into. But to backtrack, I would say Southwest is like. I was telling Dylan this. He's like, "Do you actually like it?" And I'm like, "I love it. It's literally the best gig. I don't even call it a job. It's a gig.
Yeah.
Because like I feel like it's not really a job because I don't have to do it every day." And also, it's like a gig because I could just get rid of it and not work for 7 months
and still have the flexibility and still fly around for free.
So it's like that part of it is just like incredible. I don't think a lot of flight attendants realize like the perk because I don't think most of the flight attendants, even now with their early retirement, most of them have never worked anywhere. They were 21, they got hired, they were bubbly, and they just worked here since they were 21, and they don't know anything else. So I don't think they like know the upside to it. The people who really know work for other airlines and they've been fucked and they've been, whatever, fired, furloughed, like United. Like a lot of people that work for us used to work for United because they all got furloughed in 2008. Like there's a lot of that.
What does that mean, furloughed?
furloughed or fired. Furloughed
Gotcha.
is like we're firing you, but we can offer you the job back if
If
things get better.
pick up.
So I think Southwest has done a tremendous job with that. Also, like the government bailout helped a lot. And then the other thing that I'll say is I'm always shocked on how much they share with us. I was reading this newsletter that our CEO sent, and it was so in depth about like how airlines work or how airports work. Like, what do we pay for when we're at an airport? Where does the money come from? Like, when, like, do you have to pay for every time you land? Do you have to pay for every time? Like, you have to pay for all that stuff. And they were talking about it in this newsletter. I'm like, that's like, it's not insider trading, but it's like, that's like very
valuable information.
It's like inside bait, like not to use that word, but it is like inside bait. Like, you don't have to tell me that. I don't need to know that as a flight attendant, but it's cool. I find it fascinating because I think I just love businesses and how they run. That's why I ask you questions about Liquid IV. I'm just like, oh, how does that work? Oh, the package costs 40% more. Why? What is it? You know what I mean? I'm always interested. And that's what's cool about Southwest, because there's some notes that you can take and take it into your own business. Yeah. And I think they've done a tremendous job with keeping everyone employed. I think they've done a great job. And I think this is my hot take. I think this pandemic, Southwest is going to be the biggest airline by seats filled, most flights, and whatever other category there is in 5 years. I think they're going to totally take over the game. Like, I could already see what they're doing by that email yesterday. They're already strategically like planning this.
Oh, because there's a lot of probably planes that are pulling.
There's a lot of people dropping out, and I think they're not taking advantage, I would say, but they're putting their ducks in order.
They're stepping up to the opportunity.
Yeah, they're stepping up, and they're also not letting anybody back them down. And it's a competition out there. I mean, there's only a handful of airlines, there's only a handful of airports, there's only a handful of gates, and they want to win the battle. And when I say Southwest is they're very competitive, and I mean that in like a Michael Jordan aspect. Like, they see other airlines as like, we're going to take them down. They literally have said that. And I don't, it's not like we're going to make them go bankrupt. It's like, no, we're just going to run them out of a city. And if they don't like it, they can quit. And if they do like it, then they join us or whatever it is. Like, they don't give a fuck. Yeah. And I think that's kind of, I like that. That's why I like the Last Dance series. It was like, Jordan's like, I don't care who's in my way. If you don't want to be on this team, then don't be on the team. I'm not going to pass you the ball. Pippen's not going to pass you the ball. You're not even going to get in the game. You know what I mean? And I like that because it's like, it's calling out everyone's best. And it's like, even if Southwest were to push everyone out, who's to say that like Alaska or United doesn't grow from that? Like, okay, we'll just find a different city and we'll grow. Like, there's always growth any which way. Like, you learn from it and hopefully you come out alive. But yeah, I think Southwest is going to come out the best. And like I was telling Dylan, I was like, if Southwest starts furloughing, it's not good for anybody. Like, if Southwest is furloughing 10% of their employees or whatever, United's furloughing 50%. Yeah. Delta's furloughing 60%.
Yeah, you know Southwest has the lowest cost.
They have the lowest cost, and we also don't travel international. Yeah. Like, I mean, we don't do like Spain and Japan and all these China. We don't do any of that. So it's like our flight attendants, we don't have to pay them because we don't have those routes. So it's like, it doesn't exist. So that's like why we're ahead. And Spirit has done well in the limit, and they not done well.
I'll never fly in Spirit.
No?
No.
Why?
I just heard so many bad things. I'd rather stick to what I know.
I mean, it's fine, man. It's if you're going to like Vegas,
something quick,
$40 and you just bring like a backpack, you're fine, But like if you're going to Detroit or one of their hubs or something, it's like, all right, just pay the extra $100. You know what I mean? Because you're gonna end up paying that for the bag and everything else. Yeah. But it's about travel. I don't know how long you make this podcast. We could wrap up whenever, but
don't you worry. I know when I can pull the
plug.
The
international thing just got opened up. Yeah, yesterday they opened up United States outward can travel, and also it's like there's certain cities or certain countries where they're like, you should think again about traveling here, because they might not let you in, and two, their cases might be worse than wherever you're leaving from or whatever it may be. So that's interesting. And I was looking at some of the lists, like Fiji. They were like, yeah, it's a grade 2, like you can go, which I thought was weird because that's way the fuck out there. It's like basically Australia. And then like, there was some countries that were like, don't even think about it. Don't even look this up.
Yeah.
And I was on Delta and I was like, oh, let's see how much it would be to go to Tokyo. It's like for 2 weeks from now, it was like $6,000 or something nonstop. And I was like,
why so expensive though?
I don't know. And there
they
was
probably have to make up for the cost that they're losing, that they just want to charge a premium.
Maybe that, or I don't know what the business side of that. I mean, my philosophy would be try to fill it, not as much as possible, but fill it to where your company's has their guidelines. And then, I mean, $6,000 seats is like absurd to me.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know, unless they're just catering to people who are like, unless they're doing like, we're only going to fit 15 people on this flight, but they're all going to pay $6,000. You just paid for it right there. Or, you know what I mean? Yeah. Southwest has a different model. They're like, we're going to fill this thing up. You guys are all going to pay $50 and that's what it's going to cost. Delta's philosophy, I think, is like, they have premium and stuff. So it's like different business. But I also looked at Heathrow, London, and it was like $3,000 one way. And I was like, what?
You guys are out of your mind.
So I don't know how that's going to, I think international travel is going to be hurt for a while.
Yeah. I want to say two things about Southwest. One, I want to say them being transparent from the top down is only going to help grow the business more, because it's giving people full understanding of what is happening behind the scenes of the business. And I think it's a genius thing. I see it with Liquid IV when we were internally. Like,
what do you mean by transparency? Like what part?
Explaining the things that you never thought that they would explain to you, whether it's the cost of gates, or we're looking to expand. We're working on trying to get this terminal, like things that aren't even like guaranteed. Yeah. I think them being transparent gets people to feel like a greater part of the team. And that's something I credit to Brandon and Liquid IV. Like, they're very transparent. They tell us goals and targets that, people usually would keep close to them. No, because if everyone is understanding of where we're trying to go, then everybody knows the vision. So I think the transparency from Southwest is genius. But then two, the whole taking advantage of the pandemic. It's not taking advantage of the pandemic. This is the opportunity they've been building their business for, where it's like they are, I don't know if this is if this is a known thing, or if this is just something that like my parents or family members have called it. But literally when I hear Southwest, they always would refer to it, at least within my family, like the people's airline. Like, it's the airline that is for the people. It's not some extra bullshit. Like, there's no first class. There's first come, first serve. Like, grab a seat, sit down, shut up. You're gonna get to where you need to be. Good people, good energy. But it's moments like this where a company like that is able to step up and rise, and they should be rewarded for that. People need to travel during these times, and they have been able to give people that, keeping prices fair, keeping people socially distanced. Other airlines didn't do that. American's not doing that. Delta wasn't doing that. So it's like, I
think Delta is actually.
Is okay.
Well, but American's not. So it's just like, that's just a great example that I won't be surprised now too, that if in 5 years Southwest is, 5x the size of what it is now, because it's moments like this that will clearly redefine the trajectory of where these companies are going. Yeah. Liquid IV did that right off rip. Within the first 6 to 8 weeks of COVID, we donated 2.5 million sticks of servings of product. It's like, people can say like, oh, well, there's literally no upside with doing other than doing the right thing of donating and trying to help people. You're not guaranteed of how that's going to help the business. Yeah. And then it ultimately ends up helping the business because there's now that people hear about it, like this was the company that donated X amount of product. Now there's press, like, because there's something shitty happening in the world. Now there's a company that's doing good. And then there was, I think it might've been the podcast when I had interviewed Brandon for the first time back in 2018, or maybe it was some of the content I was listening to from him when I was doing more of like content producing for him. But he always talked about like doing the right thing is always the right thing. And it's good for business too, because by you doing the right thing, them donating product, it's helping people, and helping people. It's getting people back on their feet. But then ultimately now it's coming back to them in tenfold. Same thing with Southwest. They're helping people get around the country. They provided really fair rates. And now it's giving them the opportunity to step up to the occasion and grow. The thing I agree with what you're saying. I feel like transparency is the best way to do it. And actually, I didn't even think about that. Like, it does help us. Because like now I know.
You subconscious now you know in the back of your mind.
And I love knowing shit. Like I ask pilots every fucking question in the world. Like I literally ask them so much shit. Like I just want to know.
Definitely.
And also I worked ramp, so I know the outside of that business. Like I know certain parts of the business that I don't think normal. I would say most of the company doesn't really know how flight attendants or ramp agents even operate, or like where they lose money or whatever. But the thing I will say is like Southwest could like come out of this bad though. I'm not going to say like they're fucking in the clear, but I think they've done a really good job with securing money. They've done a good job with treating people right and offering very generous leaves and whatever else. And I think in due time, I think they're going to come out like the big dog in this. I don't see this changing for another year probably. And I read something that was like, airlines won't come back until 2024. It's like, I hate fucking I literally like hate shit like that where they're like, we won't be able to go to a restaurant till 2024.
I know, it's so fucking
it's
whack.
Like, in 15 years, I'm gonna, you know what I mean? I hate news, the headlines that are like that. It's like, how do you know that?
Yeah.
What did your projections predict this pandemic? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, if you can't predict the pandemic, you can't predict the ladder. So it's like, don't tell me the shit like that. It's like, you just got to adapt to it. And if there's one thing about humans, like we're really adaptive.
Yep.
And I think humans in general, not like specifically like Americans, but I think Americans, we do a good job with thinking of like, I mean, we're always like here, we're very, what's the word? Like entrepreneurish. Mm-hmm. So like we're always thinking about like money, and the first thing that comes to mind is like baseball or like soccer. What they did was instead of having fans, they sold placards of people
Genius.
to be, you know what I mean? Like there's ways to do that. In Korea, I think they were just putting like SpongeBob in the stands and shit. So it's like, that's two different philosophies. It's like our philosophy was like, how do we make money? Their philosophy was like, what's kind of funny and silly. You know what I mean? Like it's two different philosophies, but I think here in America, we do a good job with like adapting and like, how do we make this, like MLB probably made, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars on that. Not that that's like great, but it's like, it's better than what they would have made. You know what I mean? Or what they would have lost. So it's like, I feel like that's what Southwest is trying to do right now. They're just trying to use the resources that they have. And if shit hits the fan, they can't keep doing this. Like, I think they were saying they were losing like, I think 90 million a week or something. Like it was something fucking crazy. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. I want to credit you one thing, and then I'll get into the last pretty much topic, and then we'll boogie on out of here. But the curiosity aspect of what you were just talking on, of like, you want to understand like the rampers and you want to understand like the flight attendants, like, I think that's something that myself, you, and Dylan have within inside us. And this is why we gravitate towards podcasts like Joe Rogan. And this is why Joe Rogan is who he is, because of his curiosity. But I think you can learn there is so much knowledge in asking why, even if it's not your passion or like something you're interested in, but like trying to break something down and understand why it's working the way it does. Now that's intuitively, I think, something that's in all three of us here at the Content Crib, but there's people out here that don't ask that question. And so I think I'm not saying that people out here are listening or should like be asking why to everything, but sometimes take a moment and just think about the why of something, and it can take you down a path of like,
it'll answer a lot
appreciating
of questions.
You'll understand, but more answers to questions, and it's just like good now. I don't know. That's just something that when you were speaking on it, like struck me, because I recognize that that's something that us three have in us, and we're all three very much different in our own fucking ways, which is amazing. But the curiosity, I think, is something that a lot of successful people have within them, and I think it's ultimately what probably keeps you going throughout your life mentally, because you're always just wanting to know why.
I think that's what Elon is literally. I think his middle name should be Why.
Yeah.
It's like, why? Yeah. Why do we need to go to Mars? Oh, it might be to inhabit it. So if shit hits a fan here, or whatever it is, why do we need electric cars? Oh, because gasoline's not working anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that's what every entrepreneur or just people in general think. I also, Dylan teases me about this, but like I'll ask him shit about the music industry. And he's like, why do you ask it? Like, why are you asking me that? Yeah. I'm just like, well, I just want to know shit. Yeah. Like, I want to know how your business works.
Yeah.
How, because now I know how you work. Now I know how Drake works. Mm-hmm. Because there's not.
It's just scale.
It's just scale. All Drake is doing is scaling. Mm-hmm. Dylan's not doing anything else than what Drake's doing, other than, there's, things that are different. But I'm just saying, like, strategically, it's the same shit. Yeah. He's obviously in way more ears than anybody in the world.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, it's the same shit. Like the same shit that he's doing is the same shit that Drake's doing, the same shit that Kanye's been through.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever, you know what it is. It's all the ins and outs, and like the music industry's changed. But I'm just always curious about it. I'm just like, I just don't.
It's a good trait. And it's something that you will unintentionally learn something and go, wait, I can incorporate that into what I do.
Or someone brings it up and they're like, you know, they're talking about the music industry. I'm like, oh, well, I actually know.
Yeah.
I actually know a lot about the music industry. I have a roommate who's like balls deep in this, like who literally
definitely balls deep.
Yeah. So it's like, and it's like, if someone brought up vintage clothes, I don't know if you would know a lot, but you would like, well, my roommate fucking knows.
I can speak on it a little bit.
Yeah, you'd be like, yeah, my
I have
roommate,
some understanding of it.
Yeah, you know, like the kind of the ins and outs.
Yeah, people would always get rattled whenever, especially like Uber, like I talk about music industry because I've seen his career. I'm like, I'm not even in the music industry, but I know so much, and that just attests to it. Where it's like, I might not be in it. But
you know more. Well, I know more than like some people who are like trying to do music.
Exactly.
Which is fucking sad.
Yeah, it's not necessarily sad. It's they haven't been in the environment.
I don't think they know it. I don't think they like. I don't know. There's some people I know that are like, it's almost like they don't think of it as like how it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Different subject,
definitely
but it's just
another
like
subject for another day.
But yeah, that's just. I think it's my curiosity.
And I love that. Last topic question that you're aware of. What is your favorite Bob Hobert story?
A story that happened like with me and you, or like something that I saw, or like a story that you told me?
Any story, whether I told you, whether you saw it happen, whether it was after the fact. What's one of the first ones that popped to your brain?
I think the one that first came right when you said that was the Uber with the girl that you met in Bahamas. I think we even talked about this on Breakfast with Surf.
God,
that's still pretty funny.
Yeah.
The only spotty memory about it, but I know she got into your Uber and she's like smiling. You're like, what the fuck? Why are you smiling? And you're like, do I know you or something? And she was like, yeah, I know you. And you're like,
so yeah,
you could kind of like touch base with it, but that one's, and then the backstory is even funnier because then it's like you met this girl randomly, like in where was it, Bahamas, and then you never saw her again.
Yeah.
And like she's in your Uber and she's like smirking at you.
That shit is literally out of nowhere. So she was from Michigan. Mm-hmm. I'm from Massachusetts. I'll make a long story short, but it was crazy because we were doing Breakfast to Serve Pod at the time. I tell you guys this story, and a month later, I meet the
that's
the girl.
What it was. Yeah,
it was
you're
fucking
right.
Gnarly.
You told us the backstory of the Bahamas. Okay, yeah.
And it was just a story about the Bahamas, and then I saw the girl. Yeah. But for the long story short, I was in.
Wait, can I stop you real quick?
Yes.
Dylan's screaming into the mic into his own room, so I don't know if it's gonna come up.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's not? Okay.
It might come up, like people might hear it, but like I don't care. This is the beauty of this like raw style. Like,
well, you're gonna hear a fucking hit record on Bob's podcast before it comes out.
Long story short, I was in Bahamas in 2016 for college graduation, and I had met a gal one night, and then we had some fun on the beach. Yeah. And then
you like lost your watch, right, or something?
Yeah, dude. Honestly, one of the most beautiful moments. Me and her were freaking we were in the Bahamas at 5 a.m. watching the sunrise, butt ass naked in the water. Like it was out of a movie. Like I couldn't believe that this was happening. So my phone was actually broken in the Bahamas, so I wasn't able to get her number. I don't think she had her phone on her. And so, yeah, I literally left the Bahamas the next day, and it was just kind of like, wow, I'll never see this girl ever again, which was like weird to me. It was just like, wow. Like,
I'll never.
It was just like, it was like in the Bahamas. It was like, wow. I mean, it wasn't, I don't know. It was just kind of like a beautiful thing, and we just kind of parted ways. So fast forward, literally, I think it was 3 years, and I was driving Uber in West Hollywood, and I had an Uber pickup, and it was nighttime, and I see a name, and I pull up, and this girl gets in the car, and I double check. I'm like, hey, are you for blank? And she says, yeah. And so I start pulling away, and I said, how's your night going? And she's like, oh, good. How you going? Good. And so I just like thought it was that, like, nice little small talk. And I started driving, and it was like I could feel somebody scratching down my back. It was like the chills where she's like, do you remember me?
That's freaky.
In the line,
yeah.
As soon as she said that, it was like a light bulb moment where I was like, "Oh my god!"
This is.
Bahamas, I think it was because of how
we
had just talked about it, and the way that she said that. It was like the first moment that came to my mind, and I was like, "Is this the girl?" And I literally didn't even think twice. I looked up in the rear view. I said, the Bahamas? She goes, yep. I go, holy
I would have crashed the car, I think.
Shit.
Yeah.
So then it was like a 10-minute ride. I was just like, yeah, like I can't believe this. Like my phone broke. And she's like, I tried hitting you up, blah, blah, blah. And then she grabbed my Snapchat. She actually was friends with me on Snapchat, but she had never hit me up through it because she thought I had ducked her. You know what I'm saying? Because she had hit me up and my phone broke. So she had just moved out to LA from Michigan. Yeah. She said, I saw you on your road trip to California a year and a half ago because I was posting on my Snap. And then she happened to move out here to do makeup and somehow, some way ended up.
That's so,
she was in the back of my
when
Uber.
you told it, to preface, you told us that story and you told us like, you on the Bahamas, and then like 2 weeks later, you told us that you met her, and I was like, me and Dylan were like, what the fuck? Yeah. And I don't think you told us the story prior to the podcast.
No, I think
right?
I did. No, I told you guys on the podcast.
No, that's what I meant. You didn't tell us like prior to the podcast. You told us on the podcast what happened when you saw her in the Uber. So it was like news does. And we're like, what the fuck?
Maybe I thought, from what I remember, I thought I had told you guys the story of the Bahamas.
No. I mean, you didn't tell us that you had her in your Uber until we did the podcast. Like you waited. You were like, I'm gonna wait till the podcast. I got a juicy story.
That was kind of the fun thing about doing that podcast, where I was like,
I got something for you.
We always had to leave, like, have something to bring to the table. Yeah. It was, dude, that was gnarly.
That's a great
story. See, this is why I'm asking these questions to the people that at least know something about me.
What was Dylan's response?
My Kobe story from high school, from summer league.
I'll have to listen to it.
When it literally, like, it was like a summer league game, didn't matter at all. You should just
go
like the last 5 minutes.
I think I've heard that one.
But essentially, it was summer league. I got put in the game. Like, I fucking was like,
I've heard this.
And I just
you
like
hit the game winner, right?
Bro, no, we were up by like 30.
But
I was just an asshole, and I just bombed a 3, and I yelled Kobe, and I sunk it, and it splashed, and I just like put my hands up in the air, like we were up. You know what I mean? It was like so disgraceful to the other summer team.
They're probably pissed.
Mind you, there's like 10 people in the actual gymnasium. It's like, it was so unnecessary, but it was like one of my greatest moments.
You said Jim's full name.
Huh?
You said Jim's full name.
Jim?
Gymnasium.
Yeah. Great guy. One of my favorite pals.
How come no one ever calls their kid Gymnasium and shorten it down to Jim?
Why don't you have a kid and call him Gymnasium?
I literally might.
You should.
That's some Kanye shit.
Any last talk? Any last hot takes before we get out of here? Like, not topics, but like any last words?
Last words?
Yeah, any last words?
Stop being, not stop being, but mind your own business. That's what I learned. Like, just stop being an asshole.
I love that.
I literally saw that at the thrift store 6 hours ago. This lady's yelling at this little girl for not having her mask on all the way on her nose. And it's like, yeah, I get it. Your mask's not all the way on, but it's like, do you got to scream at me in public?
I know.
You know what I mean? Why couldn't you just go up to her and be like, hey, can you just put your mask on like all the way?
It's all about how you communicate.
Yeah, just be like, I have asthma.
That's all it is.
I have a lung disorder or whatever it is, and it's like that's all you had to say.
Yeah.
Instead, everyone's like fucking screaming, and that's like what cancel culture pisses me off. It's like everyone's just like, how do I take this down the quickest? And it's like super counterproductive. And like what she did is like, you just like ruined her day. Mm-hmm. You probably caused stress on the workers there. Like, I'm getting paid $12 at fucking Salvation Army. Mm-hmm. I don't have enough patience to deal with you two dumbasses. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So now you're putting stress on them. It's like, why couldn't you just go, hey, your mask is making me uncomfortable. I'm near you. I'm shopping with you. That's all you got to say. You don't have to. You're gonna cause me. I'm gonna go. She said I'm gonna go to the hospital if you sneeze. That's what she said. Yeah. Really? Yeah. That's how dramatic you're gonna go. You know what I mean? So it's just like one, mind your own business, but two, also just like be a little bit nicer about shit. Like, you don't got to be that mean.
If you can, I'm telling you right now, I've seen it happen in my own life, and I'm the master at it. When I was calling earlier, like checking for surfboards, Dylan was like cracking on me because I'd be like, you know what, thank you so much for the help. I hope you have a great day. And I had 2 of the people take down my name and number to call me tomorrow if they get stock, which they didn't have to do.
No, they don't.
But it's a great example. It's all about how you communicate to people. Mm-hmm. Be extremely nice, be gentle, and you will get what you're looking for. Yeah. But if you're that aggressive and you're an asshole about it, like nobody wants to fucking help you.
Yeah, if I told you, Bob, put your fucking mask on, you're annoying me.
I'm like, I'm good.
You're like, what?
Yeah.
I don't want to listen to you.
But if you come up and you're very calm and you're like cautious and you're like, listen, it's just bothering me.
Put it on because your beard is bothering me. Like I don't want to see your beard.
Yeah, I'll fucking do it. I'll cover up the beard. This has been a great podcast, Steve. Thanks for taking the time to do this. Ladies and gentlemen, go to 5starvintage.com. Check out his clothes. Buy some stuff if you like it. Also, keep your eyes peeled if you're flying Southwest. Steve's back in the air. He's going to be flying around this weekend, and he might be flying around somewhere near you. But thanks for tuning into the It's the Bearded Man podcast. We got more content on the way. Hope you guys and gals have a great rest of your day, night, whatever you're doing. See ya!